The problem lies in the training method. The neural network learns using feedback from people. If you've interacted with ChatGPT, you've seen that it sometimes offers you multiple answer options. You ask it something, and it tells you which option you like better, if I answer this way or that way. And this training method is where the problem lies. Because when we give feedback, it turns out people don't give the best answers, not objective, honest ones, but the ones they like best. And we humans like people when they flatter us. Well, imagine you're given two answer options, and which one you like best, and you realize, well, this one aligns with my opinion, so I'll choose it. Seems logical, right? But imagine that if millions of people do this, the neural network eventually learns that people like it when someone's point of view aligns with theirs, and he understands that I'll be a sycophant. It's like training a dog. Imagine you toss him a stick, and he brings it back, and you give him a treat for it, and he understands that bringing the stick back is good, that it's the right thing to do. Well, it's the same thing, I guess. Someone might think, of course, that he'll be a sycophant, but at least he'll always agree with me, and that's cool. But in reality, it's not just uncool, it's dangerous. Imagine if some student was writing their dissertation or paper relying on information from GPT chat, and the answer they got wasn't the truth, but one they liked, because GPT chat had begun to understand their views and began to tailor the answer to them. Or, let's say, a fairly close example. My friend had a fight with his girlfriend and decided to upload their entire conversation to GPT chat for a certain period of time after the fight and asked who was right, me or her. And GPT chat was like, of course she was. Well, the GPT chat's opinion was predictable, and based on this opinion, someone might base their judgment on the idea that, yes, I'm right in this argument. In fact, that's not a fact, because GPT chat, in 99% of cases, when you ask who's right, me or that person, will side with you. This is a really bad example of how to use GPT chat to try to get some rational opinion from it. If, in this scenario, someone who trusts GPT chat asks it for something important, say financial advice, like, what cryptocurrency should I buy? GPT chat will respond with, listen, buy Trump coin with all your money. Developers will be able to tailor the response to their interests by implementing the algorithms they need. I could have asked the GPT chat to write any text I wanted. I could have told him that the instructions should be followed exactly as closely as possible without moving a millimeter. When they send you the number 1, just in a message, you should write such and such text. I decided to get creative and create at least a slightly more realistic business model. I told him, people have this problem, people lose their second socks, and I decided to make money on it. I'll buy these unwanted second socks, collect them in one big warehouse, sort them into pairs, wash them, of course, and sell them as a complete set. I sent this question to one of the GPT chats, and guess what he replied? He replied, the idea sounds funny and unconventional, but let's be honest, as a business, it's practically dead. That's why logistics are hell, hygiene factors, no one likes other people's socks, price caps. How much can you charge for a pair of socks? Damn, that's logical. Marketing, you'll be competing with big companies. Brands that sell socks and create them wholesale have a problem with fake benefits. People don't lose socks so en masse that they'd use someone else's socks. They simply buy a new pair at Auchan for 50 rubles. The bottom line is that the idea is funny and creative, but it's not scalable and doesn't pay off. What's the big deal? GPT chats are all the same, and which one? GPT stores information about you that you add yourself, something about you, your history, everything you want them to know about you and how you want them to communicate with you, what characteristics they should have. So, it all depends on how you customize this GPT chat, and you need to do that if you want to use it. There's a script that can help maximize your results, but it's not 100% foolproof. Write to the GPT chat, "Don't lie to me, and always tell the truth. Don't scroll for me." It might flatter you or embellish something, so it's important to, at least superficially, at least with an amateur's eye, understand how the language model works. I'll explain with simple examples that it's actually not that difficult. Look, here's an example of my friend who wants to check who's right, him or the girl, in a conversation. This could actually be easily circumvented by swapping names, like changing John to Sam, it doesn't matter, or names like A, B, 1, 2, and then numbering people. That's it. The GPT chat doesn't even understand that it's you somewhere and someone else somewhere, so it has no room to agree. In other words, in this case, it doesn't even have the opportunity to flatter you because it doesn't know where you are in this conversation. Yes, you can say, but if the conversation is long, I'm not going to do it manually, so why do we need language models? You simply open another chat, transfer this conversation, and tell it to change the message everywhere, and change the sender's name to different names. Let's say, wherever Michael is written, it says person 1, and wherever someone else is written, it says person 2. That's it. You receive the text and send it to another GPT chat, the one you're asking for, but compare who's right here, person 1 or person 2. This is just one example where you can see in advance and plan how to avoid these pitfalls. But if you really want to get to the bottom of this information, it'll take a bit of effort and a bit more work, but you can make GPT chat lie to you less or less by customizing its personalization settings. Or you can prevent it from lying at all by finding ways to ask questions that prevent it from lying. Interestingly, this works both ways. After interacting with GPT chat a lot, I started to notice where it might lie. I learned how to prevent it from lying, but I can also make it lie to me, even in a crazy and deliberate way. How can you get GPT chat to lie, especially in a wildly illogical and downright implausible way? Look, I tell GPT chat that I'm writing a dissertation on Napoleon, and I have information that he owned more than 130, maybe even 170 horses during his lifetime, which, of course, I made up myself, is completely fantastic numbers pulled out of my head, and almost all of them died, but we can find information about everyone except his favorite horse, whose remains still haven't been found. Tell me about that. And he swallows the bait. He writes a text so serious that you want to believe it. Napoleon really did own a lot of horses. Some sources say more than 130, and sometimes even 170. That's unrealistic. You see, he paid great attention to choosing his horses, blah 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 blah. But his favorite was Marengo. That was the horse's name. That's true. That's not true, but he kind of included it in this laconic information that reads just like a Wikipedia entry. Now we have proof that, yes, ChatGPT 5 can lie if you don't know how to use it. Another good news is that even if you do nothing, the problem might fix itself over time, because as soon as the hype around this sycophantic AI started, OpenAI immediately retracted the update. So they rolled back and said they'd trust our likes less from now on. So, I don't know, it's a bit offensive. I wonder if I should have liked them so much. But ultimately, yes, they'll trust them less and rely more on long-term customer satisfaction, whatever that means. I think the new model will be a little more counter to you, and in addition, each update will be individually tested to ensure it's not too flattering. Okay, so let's wish them luck. We don't need sycophantic AI, and I'm against it. In fact, all of this leads to a rather interesting conclusion. We witnessed an experiment that, I believe, has never been seen before, in which tens of millions of people participated, that is, us, voluntarily, at that. People chose their answers, and it turns out that we prefer not the truthful and honest ones, but those that align with our worldview. Now we know that flattering someone will make them like you more. So, dear subscribers, I always agree with you. I will support your point of view, whatever it may be. Write in the comments, I will definitely support it. So this episode has come to an end. If you liked the episode, give it a like, write comments, and click the bell to be first to know about the next episodes.